So today we're going to be taking a look at a scenario where there's a European war. Now this is another video. I wouldn't say it's going to be fictional. Well, it won't be real, really, because I mean there's probably not going to be a European war because you obviously have all the European Union and stuff like that. So I'm just going to quickly do the layers and then we'll get straight into the video. Now, I do want you guys to drop a comment in the comment section below. Just tell me like what videos you want me to do next, like what sort of like scenarios I could do. I mean, we get to have Civil Wars, Empire. Obviously, I need to start a sort of like a new series, but I'm not sure what one to start. I need to start a series that I can just like have one once a week, and I also need to find a new upload schedule. So we'll sort of see how that goes for the summer. But yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy this video. Make sure to join the Discord server as well. We are trying to revamp it. I want a really big mapping Discord server to basically for all the mappers to chat, and like it's like a community. You can, I don't know, there'll be maps available so you can do mapping yourself. You can find out how I do it. It'll be should be quite helpful and fun. If you're bored, you can chat in it, stuff like that. So yeah, I guess get right into it. So give me 1 second. So we're gonna basically, how is this gonna happen now? This war is gonna sort of happen between Germany, sort of like around this area, so Germany, France, all them different countries. Now, how does it like actually break out? Well, there's a bit of fighting along Luxembourg, because Luxembourg basically says they're struggling financially or economically, and they need some help. Now, the two different scenarios is this is France and this would be Germany's side. Now, Germany does go in, and obviously they don't take it militarily, but they sort of like start taking charge and govern the place. But France doesn't like this. Now, I think this is Strasbourg, this sort of area is Strasbourg around here. Now, Switzerland is going to get involved, don't worry. And France get a bit angry that Germany's doing this. They think, well, we can attack Germany because they can't really attack us, because there's loads of different pacts from World War II about like what's going on. So instantly France basically, they not economically but they attack Germany militarily, and this just sort of sets off a war where these two are best friends but they're not. And instantly Amsterdam sides with Germany, or not Amsterdam, the Netherlands, and Belgium sides with France. Now Luxembourg is sort of like in contention, so Germany instantly goes in and tries to take it, while France on the other hand also go in the same time as them, and it's kind of split in half. There's a bit of a warfare. There's not really much fighting going on there, it's like equally occupied. Now the next person to get involved is Switzerland, and they do get involved on Germany's side. The UK is one of France's closest friends, so they get involved against France. Ireland get involved because they don't like the UK. Italy is Germany's friend, so Italy joins the war. Spain is France and then kind of England's friend, but Portugal gets involved on France's side. Spain joins Germany's side. Poland joins France's side, and so does Hungary and Ukraine. Meanwhile, on the other hand, the Czech Republic, Austria, and Serbia all get involved on Germany's side. Slovenia, Croatia, and Romania get involved on France's side. Greece goes on France's side, or gets involved on France's side. Cyprus doesn't really matter, but we're going to colour them anyway. The Baltics all get involved on Germany's side. Denmark on France's side, Norway on France's side, and that is what we're left with so far. That is quite weird. So Russia's probably going to get involved, which won't be good. But there's a lot of countries that just don't know what sides to pick. I mean, Germany and France are both in the same union, so, and they help other countries out as much as each other, so they're not really sure. So we're just going to sort of pick sides. Obviously, that's France's island. So, yeah, side picking now. I just need to colour all these tiny, tiny islands, because they'll really annoy me if I don't. So we're going to pretend these are Germany's islands. Finland picks Germany's side. So does Sweden. Iceland picks the UK side because I think they're quite good friends. Bulgaria, Albania and Kosovo all pick against Serbia. I think the only person that doesn't is Montenegro doesn't, and neither does North Macedonia. But the whole Baltics are basically on France's side against Serbia. Slovakia is stuck in the middle and picks a side. Moldova can't distrust their Romanian and Ukrainian brothers. Belarus hops in on basically a random side. And it is where Russia gets involved. Oh boy, this is going to be fun. So, Russia's probably the strongest country in Europe, one of the strongest countries in Europe, and they get involved on Germany's side. Now, France, they've got the UK, them, Poland, Ukraine, Greece, kind of, but the rest of the country, I mean, Germany, Italy, Spain, Serbia, they're quite big powers, but anyway, we're going to start this huge war. So instantly there is battles on the French and German side as the Germans push back the French and instantly propel an invasion into France. While on the other hand, the French and the Belgians start pushing up into Amsterdam as they want to quickly just retain it to one big front, and they don't want to be fighting on all different fronts. But you got a problem, is that Spain is right down here. So France also allocates troops and starts invading into Spain, but gets stuck across this mountain area. I mean, all of this area here is just this here is just mountain, complete, total mountain. Anyway, they continue to push into Spain, but eventually get stopped due to the mountains. But Portugal don't get stopped, as they're also fighting with the UK to take Spain. I think it's just Galicia here. Galicia instantly sees a chance to rebel, and they take the Portuguese sides and they completely rebel. This does cause a bit of an uproar, as Catalonia also sees they can do this, and Catalonia breaks away from Spain as well. So now Spain is kind of in complete disarray. They've got people breaking away from them, they've got different rebellions breaking out, and basically the president, who is still in Madrid, but he flees all the way to the Balearic Islands, which probably will get invaded. Anyway, the UK starts pushing into Ireland as quick as they can, because also they don't want another front. But they don't really get stopped. They keep moving into Dublin from Belfast, and eventually they push down and take Dublin with ease. With this, Ireland just sort of starts to collapse. Their president is basically, he runs away, and he runs away to Russia, and eventually Ireland is the first country in the European Civil War to fall to places. Now Germany are really having to start to ramp up, as, I mean, they've got quite isolated and they want to link up with Russia. So they could invade Ukraine and link up with Russia, or invade Poland, or just do both, and that's what they do. They begin to push into Poland and Ukraine, and even a bit into Hungary as well, in an attempt to basically make it as quick as possible to link up with Russia and all these places here, to then close down on this whole area. Because once they take all of this area out, that is a lot of countries taken out, and they only really would have to push into the main part of the war. So that's what they do. Germany continues to push up into Poland, and Poland aren't really down here that much, because they've only really set themselves all across the border here and up around here to get invaded by Germany. That's what really happens. So Russia eventually gets all its forces, and with its war that's in Ukraine currently, it absolutely starts demolishing them. They are strong, but not strong enough to hold the entire of the Russian army that is pushing. And that's what happens. The Russians start screaming into Ukraine until eventually they take big parts of the city, big parts, and are now starting to get closer and closer to Kiev. They sort of like take all of mainland Ukraine, push around, and eventually start entering into places like Poland. Now, Russia is doing the biggest amount of damage to the French team, who are winning over here, but not, or winning in the west, but not in the east. Anyway, we're going to go back to the French side, where they're continuing to push into the Netherlands. And with Germany focused on Poland and all that, and down in the Balkans, they lose their front line in France and even lose some territory. Luxembourg eventually is taken all by France, and now France are really taking the rampant, and basically they take the Netherlands, which is the second country to fall, and are now threatening Hamburg and Hanover. So now Germany's getting invaded. Switzerland is basically just going to feel the same fate. But there's a couple of countries, all of these Balkans down there haven't been involved yet, and neither is Italy. And that is going to come at quite a big price, as Italy does start their advance into Slovenia and parts of Croatia. They make several landings on the Bosnian coast to link up with the Montenegrins and the Serbians. And this does give Serbia a bit of time to start their advance into Bosnia. Taking all of Croatia's coast means that he's landlocking them, and there'll be now probably won't be as much sort of navy war. Anyway, Slovenia does quickly fall, and so does Croatia, as they're not really the strongest countries in the world. And eventually the Croatian capital falls, and Bosnia is now completely kapushed. And this is basically not Bosnia, this is Croatian, Hungarian, and a couple of Polish forces just chilling there, holding off the front lines. Serbia does see a chance to go back into Kosovo, and that's what they do, taking all of it back. And now they start their big push into Albania, a bit into Bulgaria, like here, and North Macedonia. Greece, on the other hand, does not defend here, but they move their troops up and into the Ukrainian front line. Jesus, that was a voice crack. Into the Ukrainian front line, and starts to push back the Russians. They can't do too much, though. Greece isn't that strong. And after making a couple of landings, their counter-attack is halted. France, on the other hand, are moving now on their Spanish front line, linking up with the Galicians and the Catalonians, and are now starting to really put a pull on Spanish forces. A huge number of forces lined up across the Portuguese border, and a huge number of them has moved out. And France sees this and now starts a spearhead. With the forces now all lining themselves here, it takes them a long while to realise that they're probably going to get surrounded, and they start fleeing. This causes a bit of a rush by Portuguese and French forces, who eventually do manage to surround them and are now starting to take them out. Eventually, loads of Spanish forces fall, and that is their biggest defeat of the war. Now, the French and Portuguese are heading to Madrid. Anyway, back in Italy, there's still no changes. Italy's undefeatable, except they invade the French islands and manage to take it. So, who's really winning? I don't know. I think France's side are still winning at the moment, but they're losing a lot of their front lines. Anyway, we're going to take a look at some more. Germany begins to invade Denmark, and that goes really well, as Denmark sort of falls quite quickly. And Norway also gets invaded by Sweden, who kind of isn't... I think they're strong-ish, Norway. Anyway, Sweden just pushes all through Norway and takes all their icy areas, which does harm them a bit, because I think this is just doesn't really harm them any at all, because, I mean, their icy bits aren't really worth anything, if you ask me. So yeah, while this is all happening, Serbia does continue their push into Albania. Now, the Balkans just seem really weak in this war now. If you don't know why, it's basically because Serbia is probably one of the strongest Balkans outside of Romania, Bulgaria and Greece. But I mean, they've got Russia, Germany, Italy, Spain, Ukraine on their side. Not Ukraine, other countries. So it's a lot of that. Germany then does begin to push into Poland from their side and are now targeting Warsaw. Poland and Ukraine are starting to get like completely surrounded as they now move through and take the Donbass. That's not Donbass. That's I can't remember what it is. Different region. With Poland now being invaded, there are a couple of outbreaks of German forces that just sort of land and take, and Poland falls into complete disarray. There's loads of different rebellions that break out, and eventually these all link up here, and now a huge chunk of Poland is gone, and they're now linking up all to take Warsaw. This is a very confusing front line. There's loads of different wars going on in Poland. Poland just turns into disarray. They eventually continue to surround Warsaw, and Warsaw falls, and now Polish troops are just scattered everywhere. They cut off from each other and their supply lines are stopped, which means that France's side is losing very badly. Now France kind of recognises this, so they finally begin to push into Italy and more into Switzerland and Germany and all that to quickly get to their south, quickly get to the east. But that is not quick enough, as finally Poland capitulates, and now they've only got to really focus on the south and the Balkans. Russia can do this easily by surrounding Ukraine, and Ukraine pretty much is the next to fall, which is quite sad. But there is something called the probably biggest front line in European history. It is called the ESEO front line. Now this doesn't really stand for anything, but it's just sort of like a code name for it. It is probably the biggest front line that ever touches Europe. Now this front line spreads across approximately the whole of Europe. I mean, it goes all up the Balkans and through through Ukraine, through Russia, or through a bit of Ukraine, through Russia, and it eventually ends itself off at the Moldovan region. Now, this is, as I've just said, it is probably the biggest front line in all of Europe history. It's basically the big attack of all the countries, and they're basically like, they're all fighting across and they can't move, and it's like a big stalemate across this front line. So with all the Balkan wars sort of slowing down for, I'd say this is winter time now, we do see France start to ramp up their attacks on Germany. They're now moving over to try and take Hanover, and they do that successfully, with Hamburg also falling alongside. And now they're starting to regain territory from Denmark. Now Germany is getting worried, as, I mean, their cities like Frankfurt and all that are starting to fall, so they have to do something about that. Spain is just completely falling apart. I mean, they're not even fighting back at this point. But eventually we do see a bit of hope as the Spanish forces do start pushing back up into Catalonia, but in a small proportion. But eventually they do try and get past Madrid, which does work, kicking them further back. But they only just come back even stronger, and eventually Madrid completely falls. This sees an end to the Spanish War, but the Balearic Islands still remain untaken because no one really wants them at the moment. So, this is the front line. Now, I don't know whether this is going to end in a stalemate or what, but yeah. So, this is probably going to end in a blue sort of warfare. Now we see this is called the Balkan Rush. Now, lots of different Balkan countries begin to fall. Hungary is taken really easily, and they use so many of the resources that they sort of just tire themselves out. And they don't really fully take a country, but they don't do too much work compared to how many countries they've got to take. Yeah, they take most of Romania, but that's it. With tiring themselves out, France sees this as a weakness and starts bursting through Italy as quick as they can. they're trying to now link up with the rest of the Balkans. And that doesn't work. Eventually, after probably 2 years of fighting, German ambassadors and French ambassadors and both presidents meet in Amsterdam to discuss a peace treaty, as they see this is causing human lives and it's not worth it at this point. So, yeah, we're going to take a look at a peace treaty now. Sorry about that background noise. But we're going to take a look now at a peace treaty. So, I mean, this was a very long, very, very long war by Germany and France. I mean, starting in Amsterdam, or what was it, Luxembourg, struggling financially. The UK wasn't involved that much either. But yeah, this is sort of just what happens. So yeah, we're going to take a look at a peace treaty now. So the first thing that happens is sort of a mixed peace treaty. Obviously, Ireland is reunited with Northern Ireland, which is probably something that would happen. Galicia and Catalonia are given independence, because that's something that I'm not really going to give my view on that, but they're both given independence. Spain doesn't lose a lot, France doesn't gain a lot. Germany and the Netherlands unite just to make one. I mean, there's not loads of changes, it just was a bit of a scrap over nothing. Poland get Kaliningrad, I think it's called. Can't really remember the name of it. In, like, war repairs for, what's that? They just got absolutely, like, demolished. The Balkans, Kosovo gets full independence. Even gets a bit of land off of Germany, which is quite cheeky by them. Montenegro gets reunited with Serbia. Bosnia gets a bit of land from Croatia. It's a tiny bit, doesn't really do them much harm, but it still helps, kind of. Bulgaria there's nothing really that changes down there. Nothing changes here, nothing changes here. I mean, yeah, there's not really much changes in borders. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Obviously we're at 100 subscribers now. Our big second milestone is probably 125, so we'll see if we get that. Please make sure to like the video, and drop a comment on what video idea you'd like to see. Join the Discord server, link below.